Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, preempting, productivity, proactive. Lots of P words that ultimately mean not a lot. We're also talking about subscription services and how they like to, yeah, I've got a funny story about a car park. I've got some TV stuff, movie, games. It's all here and it's all waiting for you. Before we get to it, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And share the podcast around. That's the big one. Share the podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. Went with spooky again. Must stop doing it. Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's knock whatever that was over. It was a plug. Misresolved. Another prime example of best laid plans and all that. Worked on the principle, get cracking on the podcast early tonight. I mean, half an hour earlier is, still early, I guess. So, what is going on here? A few months ago, 6 months ago to be exact, I decided to do the right thing. Yes, I am aware of the novelty factor, but I had what for me is rare opportunity to do something towards the future. Something small in some ways. My belief was that it was going to be a benefit. Going to benefit me further down the line. Small amount of pain to start with, leading to long-term gain. I'm all about it. Chicken dinners all around. So, I had the opportunity to pay off my mobile phone. It was bordering on too expensive to do. And I was a bit like, well, if I wait a month, then what I can do is pay a lump sum. And that's the phone gone. And then I'll just have to pay for the tariffy line rental, whatever it is referred to these days. It'll be a big difference to my monthly outgoings. I'm going to save myself 6 months of hassle, and all of the other things that go hand in hand with kind of doing the right thing. Something I've learned over the last couple of years, I'd say, is anytime that I try to be proactive, it will always 100% of the time come back to bite me, and will come back to bite me worse than if I'd have just left it. So if I'd have left the situation alone, it would have been fine. But by being proactive, get out in front of certain things, do the right thing, all of that sort of stuff. Oh, I've got some time here, so instead of, wasting that time away, what I'll do is I'll do something that'll help me further down the line. 100% of the time, it will come back to bite me worse. So, something that I only found out at the time was, paying off your mobile phone isn't a thing. You think it's a thing, but it's not a thing. So, I paid this lump sum of money, and I'm like, cool, I'm done. And the phone company were like, yes, you have absolutely paid off your mobile phone. Apart from the fact that we're going to continue to charge you every month until the point in time where you would have paid off your mobile phone if you'd have done nothing. Now then, a caveat here is it's £1. So it's like, what? That kind of, that's just annoying. It's like, okay. Then I'm informed, and obviously it's been 8 minutes since we put our prices up, so we'll do that as well. I was like, okay, so the £10 a month I was going to be saving wasn't £10 a month, it was £9 a month, because you still want £1 from me every month until it's paid off, which just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. And now you're putting the prices up, so I'm not actually saving all that much money. Cool. Anyway, I was just like, fine, whatever. Yet another example of me trying to do something proactive, productive, whatever, and it backfiring on me. Shocking. We get to last month. Last month is when I would have paid my mobile phone off if I'd have done absolutely nothing. And honestly, I saw almost no benefit to what had happened. Like, well, I'll learn from this one, I'm sure. Had an email. Here's your final statement, blah, 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 0 balance. Cool. Last week, I got another email from my phone company saying, just to let you know about some tariff changes. Okay. So, as part of my mobile phone, I took out a couple of additional things because initially they were free. And one of those items was Disney Plus. We're just contacting you to let you know that the subscription, which pretty sure I was getting for free, it's now going to be this much a month. Just so we're clear on this one, just so happens to be the exact amount that I had previously been paying for my mobile phone before I paid it off. So my tariff has gone back up to what it was having paid off my mobile phone. Do you remember how I'm never going to be better off in this situation? Now I know what you're thinking. Well, hang on a minute. You're getting a service. It's not one thing, it's two things. I agree. 100% agree. I am just commenting on the irony of the fact that at the point in time that I actually officially paid off my mobile phone, my bill technically went up and went back to what I'd been paying previously. Now, I have a theory that ultimately you will never escape certain companies. You will never get away from the cost. I'm pretty sure my mobile phone company contacts me twice a year, tell me the prices are going up. My internet company, which is just laughable at this point in time, can't provide stable internet, can provide an email to tell me that my bill's gone up. How do they know that I'll get the email? Maybe my internet won't be working when they send it. It's okay because they're going to get it sorted out within... What did they say? It was something like 72 hours. And that was a while ago. And I keep getting emails and text messages, and I got a text message today saying, I'm going to contact you on Wednesday. I'm like, 24, 48. Huh. Well, that's 72 hours away from now. Classic. In case you're wondering, I'm going to double back to part of this later. It may or may not relate to some of this. There is a theme, as often there is. But it's okay, because I'm going to do a reverse shit sandwich. Because I've got a funny anecdote. This isn't it, by the way. In keeping with the line with getting screwed over by companies, I recently was contacted by Netflix. No, it's not to finally do the documentary TV show about my life. It is, in fact, them telling me hey, guess what? I've got a couple of choices right now. One is we're discontinuing the current tariff thing you're on. And you've got a couple of choices here. One, you can pay a humongous amount of money every month to us. Or alternatively, what you can do is pay more money than you're paying currently and have adverts injected into your viewing. Now, first things first, I did not want to pay Netflix the whopping amount of money they wanted. So I went immediately to the website, because you have to do it through the website, and said, no, I don't want that one. Unfortunately, I had to select the with ads version, and I was like, well, let's see what that's like, shall we? Now, as we know, me and Amazon Prime had a falling out. So, yeah. Netflix have now fallen in line, and you have no option. You now have to have the adverts. I was like, I don't want to do this. They were like, right, that's fine. You can go on to the advert version. And I was like, well, I don't want that either. Let it ride for now. Obviously, we ticked over to a particular point in time where now the advert tariff is in place. So, I'm on the treadmill. I've got Netflix on. I'm running. I've put the remote out of arm's reach. Running. And bang, in the middle of the program I was watching, a dirty, stinking, filthy advert. Now, feel free to take yourself over to the comments on the YouTube page. Somebody at some point in time took the time to leave a comment on YouTube saying, "Man, this guy really hates adverts." And I think I might have responded saying adverts are absolutely 100% the worst thing. I do hate adverts. I absolutely despise adverts. Adverts are the worst thing in creation, barring a few things that I probably can't mention. But they make my blood boil. From a terrestrial TV sense, you pay your TV license for the BBC because they don't do adverts. Now, as we all know, that is not true. But they don't do adverts in the middle of things, I think is the way it works. And they advertise BBC things, maybe? I haven't watched the BBC in a very, very, very long time. Still pay a freaking TV license. Do you want to know something else? Don't actually have an aerial in our house. Still pay the TV license. Whereas ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5 do we don't have that deal, so we will put adverts in our things, and that's how we get paid. And that's kind of the deal you sign up for. You pay your £100 and whatever pounds a year. And there you go. You've signed your rights away. As far as a streaming service is concerned, you give them money. You say, I want to watch the content on your service and I will pay you for it. Jamming adverts down people's throats is just, it's that twofold thing. One, you're holding people hostage because you're forcing them down the route of having to pay more for the same content versus, well, if you don't want to do that, we're still going to get paid because we're just going to whore ourselves out to anybody and everybody. So, I finished with my run. I stepped off the treadmill. I walked through into the other room. I picked up the iPad, went back to the Netflix website and promptly cancelled my Netflix subscription for the reason, well, tucked away right down at the bottom of their list of reasons that you could be cancelling, second to last option on a very long list, I do not want adverts. I took great pleasure in selecting that option and then saying, yes, I want to proceed with my cancellation. And I am sure the people at Netflix head office are currently crying into their millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of money because they've lost me as a customer. But, as a friend of mine would say, you vote with your wallet, and I've cast my vote. And I've had I've had a couple of people like, well, what are you going to do when you want to watch this? Not watch it? Well, what are you going to do when you want to, what about when you want to check out the newest thing on Netflix? Just not. Basically. I just won't do that. I'm fine. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. They were like, oh, well, I'm going to watch this. And it was something that I had no interest in, and that's why the conversation happened. And my response was, I am happy to not pay, to not watch adverts, to not watch that program. I'm more than happy with that system. Last Wednesday, let me wet my whistle before this one. Yes. Last Wednesday, I have this system at the moment. I cannot physically have my son in the house. My son's number one favourite activity is emptying every drawer, every box, every container, and every item he can physically lay his hands on. That's it. That's all he got. That's all he wants to do. He just wants to empty things. If left alone for about 20 seconds, he can cover the entire floor of any room. If you need a floor covering, he's your man. And I can't do it. So in every available opportunity that I have, I will get him out of the house. Twofold kind of thing. It means that we're spending time together, quality time, me and him. We're out of the house. It used to be one of those things where I was like, oh, let's go and do this job and that job and the other job, and all those jobs cost money, and I realised that taking him out of the house was costing me an absolute fortune. So instead, I just started paying a £5 and I'd take him to like soft play. Or more recently, using one of the like free entry things that we've got, take him to one of those places. However, last Wednesday, I didn't want to go all the way over to, I say all the way over, it's literally just over the other side of town, but I didn't want to go to soft play. Temperature is the issue at the moment. But the weather wasn't going to be good, so I didn't want to take him to one of the outdoor play parks. So this created a conundrum. And it was suggested to me, why don't you take him to the designer outlet? The designer outlet has an outdoor, undercover park. Perfect for certain situations. I was like, that is an absolute genius idea. We're going to do that. We drive over there, we're pulling in. Now, I have this weird thing. Certain places I go and certain journeys I do, I get it's just a brain fart for like driving. The designer outlet is one of these places. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm aiming for once I get there. But for some reason, I'm always in the wrong lane. You can ask my children about the day where we had to do 5 laps of all of the car parks because I just couldn't get the lane right. And for those of you that don't know, the lane is this thing that you've got a choice to make early on. If you make the wrong choice, you're stuck in living with your wrong decision. So I, as always, am in the wrong lane. So at the not the last minute, but at a certain point, I dart across into the correct lane, and I went, phew. We go around the corner. And I know parent and child is the first set of parking bays. So as we're about to turn into the parent and child area, there is what I affectionately call the BMW tank. If I had to try and remember, I think it's a BMW Z3, maybe. It's the size of a Sherman tank. And probably best that I leave that there. I have no strong opinions about that vehicle whatsoever. There's one of these BMW tanks in front. It takes just short of an actual ice age to go round the corner to get into the first set of parking area. And I'm like, interesting. As we go in, it then makes the choice to park in the first available parking space. And I'm like, yeah, because we wouldn't have to drive 10 yards, would we? So once they are sufficiently out of the way, I go past, go round, because as long as I can park, I don't particularly care where I park. I'll park as far away as possible. I go up, I find the first through and through, I drive through, and I park up. And as I'm about to park up, making sure I'm in the bay and stuff, I see the BMW tank drive through a load of parking spaces and park in an end bay all the way over, blocking the parking space next to it. And I went, old people. Now then, there is this thing that some people may or may not know, and it's if you are a person of a particular age and you have some form of disability, apparently it's a thing that you consider parking in parent and child spaces to just be exactly the same as parking in disabled spaces. There have been a lot of videos and a lot of complaints around this subject. It is a thing, and it is something that I am aware of. Having seen the things I've seen up to this point, I'm like, old people. So, as I'm getting out of the car, I see an older gentleman step out of the tank, go to the back of the car, open the back of the car, at which point you can then see a wheelchair. There's a part of me at this point that's like, told you. There's another part of me that is like, oh yeah, just go and park in the parent-child spaces, even though, can't imagine they've got any disabled spaces. Absolutely not. Now, as I'm sure we're aware at this point in time, I'm a little bit of a stickler for the rules. That may or may not come up later. We don't know. Whilst I'm getting out, getting the pushchair, getting the bags, getting all the things that we need to take for 8 minutes out of the house, I see that there is an elderly lady getting into the aforementioned wheelchair. I'm getting my son into the pushchair, getting the bags in the pushchair, and I see the elderly gentleman wheel the wheelchair with the elderly lady off and away at what is a fairly quick speed. Now, like I say, there may have been some chuntering from my mouth. I wouldn't like to say. I take my son in, and while we're there, for a variety of different reasons, we end up doing a couple of laps of the designer outlet. Now, honestly, I've said this before. I will continue to say this until the place finally closes down and gets turned into student accommodation. I honestly do not know how the designer outlet stays in business. I don't know how the shops stay open. I don't know what the business model is. I believe it's all based on a lie. The lie is, if you come here, you can get certain brands cheaper than you can get them elsewhere. And that is a lie, because everything is wildly more expensive than you would pay for it elsewhere. It's a baffling concept to me. I do not understand how the place stays open. Anywho, like I said, me and my son did a couple of laps whilst we were there. One before and one after going to the park. Very soon after getting into the designer outlet. Now, here's the thing. The old elderly couple went a different way to me and my son. We go to the left, they went to the right. So they will have entered at a different point. I go in, and I see elderly lady in a wheelchair. And I say something along the lines of, managed to find your way in here. Didn't have to waste time finding a parking space. Obviously, under my breath, I didn't say this to the lady. Just, passing comment. A little while later, I saw her again. And this was the first point in time when I realised that she was on her own. She's wheeling the wheelchair. And the gentleman, which I would presume, I think we can all agree probably correctly, or to a degree, presumed to be her husband, is not with her. I'm like, oh yeah, he wheeled her in, but she seems to be doing the wheeling of the wheelchair, so, okay. I presumed that he was in one of the nearby shops. She maybe didn't fancy it. She's wheeling herself along. A little while later, I saw the lady again. Again, realising that she is on her own. And also, this point in time, realising that she is not in any of the shops. This is why I keep seeing her, because she is in the... I don't know what you would call it, like... Part of me is like, corridor? It isn't. It's... concourse? Walkway? Isn't it? Walkway? I don't know. Anyway, not in the shops. This is why I've seen her again. On her own. Take the boy to the park. Have a play in the park. A little over half an hour. And then we head back in to do a couple of jobs. One of the jobs I wasn't able to get done. The other one I was. They were both in opposite directions. Going one way, I see the lady wheeling the wheelchair. Again, not in a shop. Just out in the middle of the place. And at this point, still on her own. And it looks like she's looking for something. Like she's lost something. Like... I couldn't possibly imagine what she might have lost. Apart from the person that she came in with. I decided to bail on one of the things that I was going to do. So I was like, right, let's just go home. And this is the final time that I see the lady. And I'm like, hang on a minute. This lady has been here on her own the entire time, but she didn't come on her own. Also, she's not in any of the shops. And at this point in time, she's proper searching for something. And I'm like, what is it she could be looking for? Ah, damn it. What could she be looking for? We leave. So we're coming to... I'm trying to find an exit to get out. I'm trying to find the right exit to get out so that I can get out somewhere near the car. And it dawns on me that the thing she was looking for was the man, possibly her husband. And I was like, she was on her own every time I saw her. She was looking for a husband who I'm guessing she never found. Myself and my son had been there an hour and a half at this point in time. Never saw her with a husband. Never saw her in any of the shops. Just on her own, in a wheelchair, wheeling round the designer outlet. As I go through the exit doors, I said to myself, what are the chances that when I get back to the car park, there is no sign of the car? I don't mean my car, I mean the BMW tank. And there's a part of me that's like, that would be hilarious. And not all at the same time. As I'm walking down from the exit, there's a part of me that knows what I'm going to see as I get round the corner. I go into the car park, I head for our car, and as I get to our car, I look across to where the BMW tank was parked, and the correct wording is was parked. Because that car is nowhere to be seen. That car is gone. just gone. And I'm like, I kind of half chuckled. I was like, oh, what is the scenario in this? What is the scenario here? So I'm like, I'm putting my son in the car, putting bags in the car, putting the pushchair in the car. I was like, did that guy bring that lady here, take her inside and just leave her here? Is she in the process of looking for a husband going, I'm sure he said he was going to meet me here. Is he off? Is he currently teeing off on the first hole going, she'll work out eventually? What is the scenario there? I was like, hang on. The next set of bays over is the disabled parking, which was initially part of my issue. Part of my issue was the disabled parking's the next set over. It's parent and child, then it's the disabled parking. And if you get into a disabled parking space, the vicinity to where they will have entered the designer outlet, literally the same distance. So going to the disabled spaces was no inconvenience whatsoever. I'll leave that there because I as I said, I don't have any opinions, strong or otherwise, about certain vehicles. So I'm like, okay, well, there's one surefire way to settle this. As we drive out, we'll be able to see all the disabled spaces, and it's a big vehicle, so we'll be able to see it. There we go. We're in the car, we drive away, I have a look, I'm like, nope, that car is nowhere to be found. The possibilities I have considered for why, how, what was the scenario? In hindsight, that woman was clearly looking for that man. And presumably had been for about an hour and a half. What was the... part of me wants to know. There is a part of me that feels bad about the whole situation. There's a part of me that's like, should I have gone back? Should I have done a loop of the car park, gone and parked back up, gone in and found the woman and been like, excuse me, are you on your own? Why? Partially out of curiosity more than anything. What was the scenario there? You know, part of me is like, maybe it's one of those things that, you know, on a Wednesday, he drops her off there, she goes and does some shopping. He goes off and does a different type of shopping. He comes back, he picks her up, they go and have a coffee, they go home for the afternoon. That's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Was it the explanation? I may have put a little bit too much thought into this. Or not enough. That's the other thing. Maybe I didn't take it far enough. Do you remember the conversation we had a little while ago about my mobile phone bill? Yeah, you know, I had that Disney Plus subscription and they were charging me so much, and now I actually have to pay for it, which is, you know, a bit of a pain in the ass. What would make that situation worse? I've just thought, what if I got an email from my mobile phone company and they said, like, hey, you remember how you've got Disney Plus as part of your mobile phone tariff? Well, Disney have changed their subscription and you've got two choices. One is to pay a horrifically expensive amount of money. The other is to pay a similar amount of money to what you're paying now, but guess what? Disney are going to put adverts in. So there's that. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, are you seriously? You're telling me the multi-billion-dollar company that is Disney are like, oh, we're a bit hard up for cash, we're going to have to put some adverts on. Disney had an opportunity. Now, bear in mind, Disney are not doing well and haven't been for some time. Everything they seem to do at the moment seems to fall flat on its ass or flat on its face, whichever you like. They are not having a good time of things at the moment. They had an opportunity. They could have released a statement saying where every streaming service there is now ramming adverts down your throat and making you pay for them twice. We here at Disney feel that it's all about the entertainment and not about just taking you for every possible penny in every single possible way. So we are not going to put adverts into our product so that you, the consumer, can enjoy just some good old-fashioned streaming movies and TV shows that you love. But instead, Disney, in their ultimate wisdom, because like I said, literally everything they do at the moment just doesn't work. Instead, they were like, oh, well, if they're doing it, then we're going to do it. Honestly, so I don't know what I'm more annoyed about, that they folded faster than insert folding fast thing here, or I am not prepared to have the adverts. And in my house, not having Disney Plus is not going to be an option. So I'm going to have to take the money that that money I'm saving by not giving Netflix their money, and I'm going to have to put that into the Disney Plus subscription and pay the higher amount. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of these juggernaut behemoth, these companies that have just decided we need all the money. I'm all for success. I'm all for you talk about Amazon. Amazon started in a guy's garage selling books and is now one of, if not in some respects, one of the biggest companies on the face of the planet. There is a part of me that is all for it. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, you took an idea and you just made it work. Good on you. There is a part of me that I'm all for it. And then there's another part of me that's like, but because I'm all for it, don't shaft me in the process. I can't even begin to calculate the amount of money that Disney have had out of me in, let's say, 40 years. How many Marvel films I've seen at the cinema? How many Disney films I've taken multiple children to? How many official Disney me and at least two of my children used to live in the Disney store. And I tell you this much, even though there were a lot of rules around going to the Disney store, me, being the person that I am, very rarely left without buying something. Netflix. Let's talk about Netflix. You know, when they used to send me DVDs in the post, Yeah, because that's where I was. DVDs in the post. I helped Netflix to single-handedly cripple and put out of business Blockbuster. I used to love Blockbuster. That's me. That is who I am. I'll support you because you've got a great idea and you've got a great product, and I want to be part of it. Don't shaft me in the process. Just say, yeah. I mean, every single one of these companies has done something in the last couple of months to shaft their customer base. Every one of them. Disney Plus originally started with a slogan about how they didn't care how many people you gave your passwords to. They didn't care because they released their service at a time when other companies, Netflix being the main one, were having this massive crackdown on passwords. And I think Disney were like, oh, you can have 10 passwords. That was originally, if you took it out at the first point. Then they were like, oh, you can have 5. Now, we're cracking down on password sharing. Yeah. Because what? You don't make enough money? What is enough money? Anyway, enough about that. My son has started football lessons. I think I went through last week football, me and football, a brief history of time, all that. This week, I finally got to take him to his football lesson. I was terrified. Not going to lie, not going to sugarcoat this one. I was terrified. Because as far as I'm concerned, going to a football lesson is entering a different world. I don't swim in those circles. If you need to know why, and if you're wondering why, go back and listen to last week's episode. That's all I'm going to say at this point in time. So, for me, football dads are a different breed. They're taking their son or daughter, there's plenty of girls there, to football on a Sunday because it's a multitude of different things. It's a bonding thing. It's trying to give them that interest that they've got. They've spent all Saturday watching football and talking about football with their mates and, going to the game or cheering for the team or whatever it is. Taking their child to football on Sunday is part of that. They've probably got a bit of a 5-a-side league thing going on a weeknight. It's that. And then I turn up with my son, my child, and I'm like, no, but I'm trying and I can fake it. And I've got a football podcast. And etc. Not my football podcast, but I am, connected to a football podcast. So, you've got to do that. We get there. Oh, can you go down to the next court? Sure. So we go in and there's a lot of, get your football, have a kick around whilst they're waiting for everyone to turn up. It was tough. It was difficult. There were some aspects where I'm like, I thought my son did really well. I saw him kick a ball and run after it and kick it again, and I was like, wow, that's really good. The age he's at, the size he is, I'm like, that's really impressive. Then there was the other stuff. The other stuff where he was more interested what the other group were doing than what his group were doing. And I'm like, come on, buddy, let's focus. And then there's the bit where the children had to run to a certain point of the pitch and then run back to the parent and then run. They did this about 4 times. My son's interpretation of that was to just walk, just saunter. There was some things that he just point blank refused to do, and there was other things that he was able to do, and then there was stuff that he was able to do if I was holding his hand, and there was stuff that he was able to do just on his own, and it's his second lesson, and he has no real frame of reference, and he was very excited to go, and he came home saying that he'd done running and kicking the ball, and there's me in the middle of all this, and it's hard, man, because there's a part of me that I'm like, is there someone I can get to come and do this for me and for him? Someone who can come and have the enthusiasm around the playing of football that gives him the right level of enthusiasm. And I've said, I'll do it all. I'll take him to football games. I'll take him. We can go and watch York City, and we can go if there's we pick a bigger team game, and we can go to that, and we'll get a hat and a scarf and all of those. I'm happily prepared to do those things for him. At one point, I had a football video on my phone. The football podcast guys had sent something through, and I had it on my phone. And my son watched it about 30 times back to back. And I was like, oh, wow, he's really into that, isn't he? And I was like, oh, maybe that's going to be his thing, football, and, maybe it's in his blood or whatever. But it was tough. Because I wanted him to do it, and I wanted him to enjoy it, and I was like, run, mate, run. Do your running. And he just didn't. And I'm like, should he be more running? The rest of them are running. They seem to be similar ages to him. I was like, is that just because he's not got that input from me? Like, and I was like, after this, do we need to go and practice running? He's good at kicking the ball, so he doesn't need to practice that, but that's not just one, it's just one part of it. And honestly, I knew it was a me thing, not a him thing. It was a me thing. And I'm like, we've got to go again on Sunday. This is it now. I'll go again on Sunday. Got to take him on Sunday. What's that going to be like? I think he enjoyed it anyway. TV wise, I've got 3 things written down here. All 3 of them are animated, which, for a 40 whatever year old man is a little strange. I finished season 2 of Invincible. It was very good. It was very enjoyable. I liked it as a series. I could have done without the fucking adverts. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm pleased I've finally seen it. It's taken me a while to get around to it. And obviously, I absolutely adored the first series. Second series has been a bit of a change. Not necessarily for the better or worse, just a change, a little bit slow in places. And then the moment you're a bit like, oh man, this is really sort of winding on, then something big would happen. So it's a bit like that. I do wonder if, as a series, it's something that it struggles with its sort of production time. I know they had a lot of problems with the fact that people were just like, where's the second series? Because obviously nobody can wait for anything these days. And they were like, it takes time to do these things. Please be patient. And people weren't. And it's like, well, oh, you can't have everything, you know. So I do wonder whereabouts we'll see a third series. And I do wonder what that might be like. Ironically, a lot of the stuff I've been watching outside of Invincible has all been on Netflix. And you know what's great? Once you cancel your Netflix subscription, you find a series you want to watch. So a little while ago, there was this like advert-y, trailery thing, Netflix advert, whatever you call it. Irony. For an animated TV series called The Blood of Zeus. I watched the trailery thing and I was like, that looks mildly interesting. First series completely passed me by because of life. And then it popped up again because there's a second series that's just been released. And I was like, maybe it's like I watched a trailery thing for... It was kind of like the second series, but the show as a whole. And I was like, I'd fancied watching this originally. It's looking pretty good. I might give it a whirl. True sort of definition of bingeable TV. And one thing that I've really noticed, obviously nowadays you have that thing where when you watch something, you've got your phone in one hand, your drink in the other hand, and the TV's on. For this, it's very much, I have no interest in doing anything else other than watching it. And I'm pretty sure I watched the first 4 episodes back to back. It's very much Greek god based. It's very God of War in a lot of ways. Basically just change Kratos for the main character in this and you basically got what it is. Zeus was a naughty boy and his son is bearing the brunt of that, basically. It's got some interesting concepts, some interesting ideas. It's got the sort of the Greek god kind of mythology behind it. Very watchable. Very good. I've watched 6 episodes up to this point. So even if you go back to this time last week, I've watched 6 episodes in a week, which I think for me is quite a feat. Like I say, I did watch 4 episodes back to back, and then I watched another episode the other day, and then I've watched episode 6 this evening and half of episode 7. It's very good. It's very enjoyable. If you like the Greek god sort of stuff, kind of fits quite nicely. It is animated, which I know not everybody's cup of tea. Speaking of animated, just a cursory mention, because obviously the rest of the stuff I've talked about is animated. I just wanted to mention that I finally got around to watching the He-Man stuff. It's the stuff that Kevin Smith's done. The first part, because they're not referring to it as series, it's parts. First part did not get the best reviews, but then The second part got very good reviews, which kind of put it onto my radar. When I was younger, when I was a young boy, big He-Man fan. Years later, we got a live-action movie with Dolph Lundgren and Courtney Cox, which was interesting. And that was kind of that. And I believe, basically, simultaneously, there was a load of He-Man stuff released. There was the Kevin Smith one, and then another one, I think. And that's the way it was. Like I say, first part didn't get great reviews. Second part got really good reviews. So I was like, I kind of need to give this a whirl. I watched it. Couldn't really see what people's issues were with the first part, other than stuff that would be very much spoilers if you had to, if you had intention of watching it. Second part has been enjoyable so far. The reason I wanted to mention it, other than the fact that I've been watching it, the reason I wanted to mention it was He-Man was not the place that I thought I was going to be getting my domestic violence overview. Very, very interesting thing that's in the second part is an element where they tackle domestic violence, domestic abuse. Very interesting, especially the way it's done. It's aimed at an older audience anyway, but it's also animated, so you know. But yeah, there's like this entire episode that centers around domestic violence and domestic abuse, and I was like, not gonna lie, did not see that coming from something like this. Very interesting. Yeah, it was proper like, wow, that's interesting. Another thing is, me and Leon watched a film. Not unusual to watch a film. And it's not anything new, and it's something that I think I reviewed a while back, a couple of years ago maybe. It was a film I bought on Blu-ray because I didn't own it at the time. Watched it. I think I've watched it since. And then me and Leon watched it because we're trying to watch stuff from the 90s that she's never seen. And we'd whittled it down to watching something. And then in passing, I was like, have you seen the film Falling Down? And she said, no. And I was like, oh, you know, that's an option. You should put that on your list. She was like, well, let's watch that then. I was like, I was like, why don't you watch a trailer, see what you think? Now, obviously, it's a trailer from the 90s. It doesn't do the film any kind of justice. She watched it. She was like, yeah, trailer's not great. I was like, that trailer does not portray that film well at all. She was like, no, let's watch it. Like, okay, well, that's kind of good because I own it. So I popped it on and we watched it. The entire time that film was on, I was like, oh man, this character's a little bit close to the bone. Film finished, I was like, oh, what did you think to that? She was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. She was like, I can see why you like it, because the guy's basically just you. She's like, he's clearly got mental health issues, but outside of that, he's just you. And I was like, yes, he's got mental health issues. So how is that different? I was like, they do a reasonably good job of portraying what made him the way he was. But a character who is a bit of a stickler for the rules and just one day snaps and decides to take, I don't know, take certain things to task. Inflated prices, lying in advertisement, people thinking they're more entitled than they necessarily should be, people breaking the rules, etc. I was like, the whole time it was on, I was like, this was not a good choice. Computer games. I'm still playing Into the Radius on the PC. One of those things that for the amount of time that I've played Into the Radius on the Quest, on standalone Quest, versus the amount of time that I've put into the PC version, ultimately they're the same game whilst being completely different. The PC version is so much harder than the Quest version. Honestly, gun to my head, if I had to pick a version, I think I'd go with the Quest version. I can see why they've made the design choices they've made. From a difficulty perspective, I don't know why it is the way it is. But obviously, being a bit easier is sometimes better. In this scenario, there's a part of me that kind of likes it. There's a part of me that kind of, it puts me to the test. I did a section last night where I'd gone in to an area and ended up dying. And I, whilst it was loading that section again, I was like, I died there because of piss poor preparation, the 3 Ps. I was like, I've got 3 weapons, and all 3 of them ran out of ammo. In a situation whilst I'm being attacked by multiple enemies, that shouldn't be happening. So we need to go into that situation better prepared. And that's what I did. And I was successful. I did what I needed to do, and I got out of there. And I was like, there you go. That is a prime example of the difference in just, doing it right. It's on the PC is very much like that. It's very hard in comparison, but for want of a better way of putting it, if you do it right, you will still succeed. I am moving towards the back end of the game. I think I have now unlocked the final level, mission, whatever. And I think I've selected a couple of side missions to do just to drag it out a touch more. I've bought all of the additional weapons that I wanted to use for the end. I've got a fairly standard loadout for the end of the game. Big, monstrous guns, basically. And loads of healing items, because I imagine I'm going to need them. The other game I've been playing is V Rising. Couple of issues have arisen. See what I did there? Arisen, rising. I'm hilarious. And those are, I got into a point where I needed new equipment to level up to be able to take on higher level bosses. The way to do this at that point in time was to literally just grind. Go to the same areas, fight the same enemies to to gather the things I need to get better quality, higher level, higher gear. And I basically did that for a couple of days of playtime, like, a couple of hours. But it's a lot. It had the desired effect. I managed to get through, I think it was like 3 bosses by doing this system, but it took a long time. And it's not something that I'm a major fan of. I have looked into how to make that side of it a bit easier and found a way. And unfortunately for me, one of the ways of doing it is to defeat the next boss I've got. I am 2 gear levels higher than him. I have, at this point in time, probably had 30 attempts at beating him in different ways, different gear levels and different weapons and spells, and I've had zero luck. When I was playing it last night, I had that whole, I don't think I can actually do this. And the other realisation that goes with it is, I don't think I can increase my gear level anymore either. Unfortunately, that would then be the realisation that I can't progress any further in the game. At this point in time, I'm pretty sure I've got maybe 8 YouTube pages open with videos all centred around trying to beat this boss. If I can't beat this boss, the short version is it will be the end of the game for me, which is a real unfortunate kind of thing. Shortest version is I am not good at games, and because of that, sometimes you just kind of have to let stuff go. Sometimes you are just not good enough for that game. So there we go. That's that. That is the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will catch you next time. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another one gone. Where does it all go? Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out that website. It's thecookiecast.com. There you'll find social media links, an email button, a multitude of ways to get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This is a Cookie Cast production.